Hey guys, Katie here, and today's video is about mixing paper collections and sharing a story of a coffee date with my daughter. Hi, I'm Katie Taylor at scrappinkaty.com, where I show you how to preserve your family's memories through the art of scrapbooking. I have pulled out the Latte Love from Stampin' Up! To document these two photos of one of our coffee dates. And then, of course, the stamp set and coordinating die cuts. I'm not sure which stamps I'm going to be using or if I'm going to use any of the die cuts, but at least I have them if I decide to. And then I'm going to be using 3 of the patterns from this paper collection and build it on a white cardstock base. So I'm going to start off this layout by putting my cardstock base onto my Versamat, just securing that with some tape adhesive because I am going to be lining up some papers. So these paper strips are 3 by 12. Now this pattern, I didn't have a full 12-inch piece, so I have split that up knowing that my photos are going to cover the big gaping hole that is left. I am lining that right edge up at 6 1/4 inches, and I'm just going to do that on both of those, and of course use my Versamat to make sure that they line up. Now you see me here just kind of roughing up the edges with my fingernail. I want to do that just to kind of add texture to these strips of paper. These strips of paper, you know, are the browns and the creams, and so you need some sort of texture at this moment. So I'm lining this one up at 9 1/4. You barely can see that right edge, and then this is the final one. I absolutely love this pattern. It's just a whole bunch of coffee rings. And I'm going to rough that edge up, and then that one will go flush with that right edge. And so all of these just barely overlap. I have left adhesive away from that edge that I kind of roughed up, just so I can do more once it's on my layout. So these photos are going to go pretty much right in the center. Now I want to pull the pinks in my daughter's drink, so I'm pulling out the Flowering Zinnias, and I just have scraps left from this one. I believe I only had half a package of DSP on this. So I'm going to pull out the pinks and then some of the floral patterns and maybe fussy cut those out to use those as some embellishments. One thing that I have been trying to do with Stampin' Up! Is try to find products that I can use in my scrapbooking, since the collections are kind of lacking in that area, if you will. And so by cutting the DSP, that really helps. Now, I did want to save these 2 patterns from the Flowering Zinnias, so you saw I kind of gutted those. There's only going to be a tiny bit of those showing, and that way I can save those for other projects. Now I am adding 3D foam tape to both of these photos. Right now just the 4 by 6, and that way I can decide where I want it, and then I'm going to apply some liquid adhesive onto that Melon Mambo piece and get that adhered down. Then I'm going to come back with this 3 by 4 photo and then do the same thing with this lighter polka dot pink paper. And then again, apply liquid adhesive and get that adhered down. And that's going to help me frame out these 2 photos. Again, using 3D foam tape on the 3 by 4. I don't want 3D foam tape on the portion that's going to overhang the 4 by 6. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it and putting that 3D foam tape where I think it needs to go. And then I can start peeling away the backing and go ahead and get these stuck down. Now you can see that I didn't go all the way to the edge on the 3D foam tape in my photos. I like to do that because embellishing is one of the things that takes the longest for me. I don't know about you. But sometimes it's really easy. It's easier to get your photos adhered down, but then leave some spaces that you can tuck some things underneath. I'm going to straighten out this 3 by 4 photo right quick, and then I can start taking a look at the embellishments. Now, before I did that, I really wanted more of this melon mambo. So it's a good thing I gutted that. So I've just trimmed off a little 1/2 inch piece of that, as well as that lighter pink color. And then I'm going to put that lighter pink up at the top left. And then that way, both of those photos look more cohesive instead of just having random blocks of color behind them. I am going to pull out a couple of images from the Latte Love stamp and then use my toffee ink that is a close to my heart color because I haven't purchased a lot of the colors from Stampin' Up! Yet, and just apply some of that splatter as well as those coffee rings where I think some of my embellishment clusters are going to go. Now you can always come back and fill in, which I will be doing toward the end of this video once I get my embellishments in place. And then I am going to start cutting the flowers I want. Now there are 2 flowers with the melon mambo being the majority of the flower, and then there's this lighter pink. Forgive me, I don't know this lighter pink color. I know I knew it at one time, but I've forgotten that. But I'm just going to fussy cut. I like to leave a white border around my flowers or my fussy cutting, just so it looks more like a sticker. It's also a little more forgiving when you are cutting on a circle or a rounded edge. Now for my title, I'm going to bring in that pink color again. These are old acrylic shapes from the titles from my stash. So those are no longer available, but I think that they really worked really well with the melon mambo. Again, playing on that pink color because of my daughter's drink. So I'm spelling out Sweet Days. Days, of course, is the larger of the title, and then Sweet is a little bit smaller. So I'm just kind of drafting where I want this to go so I can start playing with the fussy cut flowers as well as some ephemera that I'm going to pull out here in just a second. I'm going to use liquid adhesive to get these adhered down. I am going to separate those melon mambo flowers and then put this lighter pink right over that one underneath my title. And then there's this little bitty one that was on the edge of a paper, and instead of throwing it away, I decided to tuck it in down there. Now, one thing you want to remember when working with not only different textures, but different sizes of things, is if you layer them, it just kind of adds that interest. Now here is where I've pulled out one of the ephemera packs. I think this is Something About Everything. And I've pulled out these cute little coffee cups, and then there is a strawberry I'm going to pull out, a camera, and then I'm going to pull out this little banner. It's kind of this lighter blue color. I don't really have that blue anywhere on this layout other than my nails have kind of got a lagoon color to it, but I thought that would be a fun play. And then I'm also going to pull out a couple of hearts. Now, the hearts were a last minute decision, mainly because one fell out of the package. And I thought, oh, that might actually be a good thing. So I'm just going to try to figure out where I want these coffee cups. I'm thinking down at the bottom the bottom left, mainly because the top right is so heavy with the majority of those florals, then that banner, and then also my title, that bottom left needs to kind of anchor that heaviness. I did add some tiny mini dimensionals to the back of this banner, and I'm going to put it down. Now, I did decide to move it down just a little bit and put that over my photo. Again, layering things over and under make those elements look like they belong together, if you will. So now I'm going to apply liquid glass. This is one of the Close to My Heart products, so it is no longer available, but just grab your favorite liquid adhesive that can be used on acrylic shapes, and you can just go to town and adhere these down. Now for the sweet, I started off with the W and the first E, and I centered that on the days because I wanted the sweet to kind of be centered, if you will. So if you're working with titles and you want them centered, make sure you just center the middle letters, and then you can kind of fill in with the rest. If you want them lined up to the right, start with the right letters, so on and so forth. So I'm going to get this adhered down right quick. And then I am going to clean it up with my Take Your Pick tool. I just love just cleaning up that extra little glue. It dries clear, but sometimes it's just best if you can clean that up. I did move that little camera like you saw, and then here's where I'm going to fill in with some more of the stamped splatter. And then I'm taking some of the embellishment gems and I'm adding just around the clusters. I'm only adding one large and one small, but I think it adds just that extra pop of that melon mambo. I'm going to do the same up here by the title, and then we are pretty much done on the embellishing part. I'm going to add the date right quick, and then I'm going to step back and I'm going to look at this layout, and like I usually do, something is missing. So I'm going to pull out some of the browns, the deep mochas and espressos that are in this paper collection, and I'm just going to snip just my cardstock base at the bottom and then up at the top right. Kind of fold that back. Remember, I have that textured look on this pattern paper. So by adding this textured fold back on the sides of the layout, it's just going to add to that same technique. I'm going to remove my layout from the Versamat right quick by taking the eraser and getting that adhesive off, and then apply adhesive, and then these dark strips of this spilt coffee splatter are going to go just behind those torn pieces. And this is one of my favorite things to do. It just kind of adds some extra detail to an otherwise boring edge of your layout, and it also brings in kind of a peekaboo color. Now you can see it much better since it's off the Versamat. Just going to make sure that those are really pulled back. You can see there, again, that texture, and then of course with the stamping and the layered ephemera, and then those acrylic letters, and then of course that gorgeous pattern paper from the Latte Love. So that is my layout. Remember, I will leave all the links down below to the products that I used. I believe most of them are still available, even the Flowering Zinnias from a couple of months ago, the online exclusives. Remember that Stampin' Up! Is having our bonus days right now. So for every $50 you spend, you will receive a $5 coupon to use in August. You'll be emailed that code, and so in August, you can go online and you can spend it on new Stampin' Up! Products. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. Don't forget to like this video, comment, share with your friends, and if you aren't already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and sign up for notifications so you'll be alerted the next time I post a crafty video. Thanks so much, and you guys have a wonderful weekend.